Hello, and welcome back to the Paper Soprano podcast. I am your host, and my name is Heidi, and it's good to have you here. It's good to be here. I feel like I really needed the podcast today. I've been having kind of a bad day, not gonna lie. It hasn't been unproductive, but I've kind of learned to... In this past month, I've learned to disconnect productivity from, my day quality, if that makes any sense. I didn't have any obligations today, so that was great. And I got a lot of stuff done around my apartment. Actually had a really good practicing session not long ago. But, mentally, just been in, a weird headspace all day. I've been doing, menial tasks, which is fine. I've been cleaning. I did a lot of cleaning, actually, a ridiculous amount of cleaning, and I'm very proud of myself for doing that. I worked out, I practiced, I did all the things that I needed to do and would have wanted to accomplish. But still, there's, one giant piece of the puzzle that's missing, and that's, socializing with other human beings. And if anybody out there tries to convince me that they don't need to socialize in order to feel like a regular person, I almost want to look at them and be really? 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 Because when I'm up in here being alone from the minute I wake up until the minute I go to sleep, and I don't go anywhere, that is a little bit spooky for my brain. And if you are like me in any way, this can be a really scary cyclical thing. And I asked a friend if they wanted to hang out today and do something, and it didn't work out. And also I talked briefly on the phone with one of my coworkers because something happened at work. The place that I work on campus is open on Saturdays, but I don't go in on Saturdays. So there was a little mishap happening, so I talked for a couple minutes on the phone there, but I think I'm gonna call, maybe I'll call my gram, or I'll call my honorary grandma, as I like to say, Hazel. She's not my grandma, but she is essentially one of my grandmas. I like to say that I have 3 grandmas, because Hazel is, a family friend, and she is of that grandmotherly age, but doesn't have any grandchildren of her own, so... and she loves to chat, so that makes her a grandma, okay? And if that's the criteria, then I guess I am one too, so... But yeah, so, I don't know. Ooh, I think I'm overloading this mic. I am so sorry for your ears, but, also, I'm not gonna edit it, so... Rest in peace to your hearing. Love you, mean it. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I get really spooked when I don't leave the apartment, or I don't have any, meaningful conversations with people, or I don't... Even sometimes, just going to, a store or going through a drive-thru and, having a small, colloquial interaction with another human being is enough sometimes. And I didn't have any of that today. And... in a way, I'm happy for myself, because I I bet you can hear the fridge. LOL. But what I'm getting at here is, sometimes I long for the days where I don't have anything to do, and I'm oh my god, I wish that I could just do nothing all day. But what I end up doing is just that. These tasks that I have performed today, I don't feel relaxed. I don't feel like I've really gotten anything major done. I've done all of the things that I am, like, obligated to do, which is, like, not very satisfying if you think about it. Like, yes, of course I want to accomplish the things that I need to do every day, but, you know, I didn't have any adventures, I didn't do anything special, and listen, by all of those standards, like, I have low expectations for adventures now, so, like, going outside and doing something is an adventure. So, that just shows you how, introverted this day was. And it was kind of weird. Like, this is the most I've spoken all day, and it's about 7 o'clock p.m. Which is, you know, it is what it is. I don't know. Do other people have days like this? God. And I even, like, played some guitar. Like, I did a wide variety of things. Really, really large variety of things. But, yeah, man, sometimes it's just not enough. Sometimes you try and fill the social void with, you know, organizational tasks or cleaning tasks or success tasks. Like, I want to finish this, or I want to do this, or I want to send this, or I want to, you know, create this. But for me, sometimes, like, creating and doing things and succeeding in things, it's just not in the same vein as, like, hanging out with a friend or talking to someone. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I'm at right now. But I will also say I am very proud of all of the tasks that I accomplished today. We got done a load of laundry. I planted some new sprouts. Did some meal prepping. You know, a variety. Did a lot of vacuuming. I vacuumed one of my fans, like my ceiling fan, you know? You know how you look up there and you're like, wow, that's a lot of dust. Why am I like this? Like, why am I so disgusting? Why is there so much dust on that fan? So I vacuumed the fan, you know, wiped it off, lived my life. Did, of course, a regrettable amount of scrolling and a regrettable amount of listening to things, music, podcasts, videos, whatever, while I was accomplishing these tasks. And I can totally tell when I become overstimulated by something. It starts to feel, like, in my body, it starts to feel almost itchy. Like my blood is itchy, or like my skin is like a loose pair of socks. You know what I mean? Like, it's not irritating. I'm not getting, like, I'm not in pain. But it starts to become, like, too much. And there was a time today I was actually sewing something. And I was sewing this thing, and I was frustrated by it because I was so overstimulated and, like, in, like, a weird, like, hyper manic state that I accidentally sewed one of the straps of the garment that I was mending. I sewed it to the wrong frickin' spot. I sewed it, like, you know, just incorrectly, like, to the wrong spot. On the wrong side, and it was just incorrect. And I was looking at it, and I was like, wow, that just took me so long, and I'm gonna have to rip all of it out. And I'm not doing anything else. It's not like I'm busy and rushing from thing to thing, and I'm sewing this really quick. Like, I sat down to do this task. And in that moment, I, like, had headphones on, like, I was listening to, listening to bebop, like, I was listening to really fast jazz, and really highly informational music, and then I switched to, like, a podcast, but then, I had already listened to that, and I remembered, so I was like, oh, I already heard this, and I put on, like, a YouTube video, like a vlog or something, and I totally sewed the wrong thing. Like, I just totally messed it up, so I had to rip out all the seams and, like, start over. And that's when I was like, oh, God, I'm getting so irritated, and, like, I could tell that I was just so overstimulated, and that was at, like, what, like 12 o'clock? So it's kind of been like that all day, which you take it as it is. While I'm not super happy with today, I am very grateful that I was able to, like, move around and, like, move my body and do the things that I did accomplish today. So yeah, that's just kind of the story. If you're like me in any way and you are, like, chronically trying to find this balance between overstimulating and, like, having enough stimulation, like, I get anxious about being bored. So, like, I'm constantly trying to stimulate myself enough with enough, like, input from things, activities, and, like, media, whatever, so that I'm not bored, and so that I can try and get into that productive state. But there I was, in that productive state all day. I was doing what I needed to do, and here I am on the other side of it, and I'm like, was it even worth it? Like, did I have a good time? Like, yeah, I drank some coffee and I had some caffeine and I was, like, running around and, like, yeah, coffee make me go fast, woo, like, but, I wasn't, like, super happy about it. I don't know. It's hard to find that balance, that stimulation balance, because I feel like we all crave it, like, as humans, we hate to be bored. Or at least I do. I guess I can't speak for all humanity, but I think there's, like, studies done on human brains or something like that. I feel like it's a Vsauce video. They did a isolation thing with Michael from Vsauce. If you don't know what Vsauce is, just look it up. Vsauce, okay? You'll have a great time. But I think they did an isolation video where he was, like, completely isolated and, like, absolutely nothing to do in, like, a room. He was just, like, trapped, isolated, and it was an experiment for maybe 3 days. I don't know. I think that's literally, there's some amount of time, I don't know if it's 3 days, don't quote me, but, like, there's some amount of time where, like, the people who are in charge of mental health say, don't be alone, or, like, don't not do anything, or don't not socialize for this amount of time or more, or else you will have, like, permanent lasting damage to your psyche and, like, to your brain. Which, honestly, makes sense to me. So, if that's not enough proof to you, like, it makes sense that we're all constantly craving stimulation and something to do, then I don't know what is. So, anyway. So, how's your guys' day going? It's Saturday. My church gig got actually canceled tomorrow, which is pretty sad for me because I do love going and recording for them. They're very sweet over at the church that I sing for. And it got canceled tomorrow because of, like, I guess more snow is supposed to come tomorrow. But listen. Here's what I think. I think Long Island would just do so much better with the snow if they would just put a little bit more effort into the cleanup aspect and, like, just get out there with the plows earlier in the morning. And I know that's a lot to ask because, they probably don't have, like, a unionized plow thing that, like, Buffalo has, and Buffalo's got the snowplow gig, like, down pat, Is it down pat or is it down packed? I don't know. But, yeah, Long Island just is literally riding the struggle bus every time it snows. And I remember so specifically, like, the last time we had snow, it was only, like, a couple weeks ago, but, like, there was no plows that came through until, like, I don't know, 11 a.m., 12 p.m., like, in the afternoon, plows started coming by. And I was like, huh? Like, I'm sorry, but like, what? And like, literally, my first 2 days of my semester, last Monday and Tuesday, were like canceled. Snow days. And granted, it was like a foot of snow, but still, like a foot of snow, come on. If you were plowing at, 6 in the morning and you kept running through, you kept passing through, 6, 7, 8, we could have all been, delayed a couple hours. I get it, but like, dang. I don't know, y'all. I've got high expectations for snow removal. But yeah, so that's the scoop right now. And I am looking forward to... Oh, God. Jesus, I almost just knocked down these glasses off of this desk. Oof, that would have been so bad. I dropped a plant today. Oh, my God. You should have seen the look on my face. You should have literally seen the look on my face because I totally made it happen. So I have these little tiny, like, miniature mason jars that I glued magnets to that I put on my fridge that hold small amounts of water, like probably like, I don't know, a fourth of a cup of water or less, like a little tiny bit of water, and I put my plant propagations in there. So I'll take cuttings of plants and I'll put them in the little mason jars that I have magnetized to the fridge. And I'll change the water every now and then, but that's kind of where, I have plants propagating. And, totally did this to myself. Today I was going around with my little spray bottle that I use on all my plants, and I was just giving everybody a little spritz, a little mist, showing everybody some love. And for some reason, I was compelled to spray the mason jars. And I, knocked this mason jar, little tiny guy, off of the fridge, and it knocked into 2 of the other ones, and all 3 of them just, fell onto the counter, and then I had some coffee grounds sitting on the counter because I needed to, rinse the filter out, and it knocked the coffee grounds on the floor, and I was literally like, oh my God, you've got to be kidding me. So there's water and coffee grounds and plant cuttings everywhere. So yeah, that was pretty fun. It was a hot mess. There were multiple instances of that, which is why I needed to sew something today as well. But anyway, hey, where's my bookmark for this? What's going on? This is so... Oh, okay, phew. When you have a bookmark in something and you're literally like, are you kidding me? Where did it go? Come on. And it's just tucked away in a page. Okay, anyway, that's probably a me thing. Nobody else cares about bookmarks. Anyway, okay, so if you're new to this podcast and this is your first episode, welcome. We have a segment on the pod, which is our minute sketches of great composers that we do every day. And we just kind of hang out and we read about a composer of the day. And we let our 2 female authors from the 1930s, Eva and Helen, we let them give us their take on this composer, although sometimes we take it with a grain of salt because it was written in the 30s and it's weird to think that's almost 100 years ago. So it's a little out of date, but that's kind of how books are. They don't age. All right, people. Felix Mendelssohn Bartholdy. I also don't really know if I'm pronouncing his last name right. So we're just going to go with Mendelssohn, obviously. And his subtitle is, quote, Darling of the Gods. Born 1809, died 1847. It is meet that the fairy music in the scherzo of Mendelssohn's Midsummer Night's Dream overture should be of his loveliest, if it glorifies the good fairies who undoubtedly hovered over the cradle in Hamburg, which he found himself on February 3rd, 1809. Not alone fairies, but loving, intelligent parents and the best of tutors supervised the education of this favored princeling, who enjoyed all the material satisfactions supplied by wealth, all the spiritual peace engendered by love. As a handsome little boy, he might have been found almost any Sunday morning in the music room of the Mendelssohn home, assembling his orchestra of brothers, sisters, and friends, and wielding the baton while they played the pieces he composed for them. All Hamburg flocked to these musicales, and by the time Felix was 16 and launching on his first tour, he was already known as a pianist, organist, viola player, conductor, and composer. His triumphs abroad, where such men as Goethe, Liszt, Chopin, Schumann, Rossini, Meyerbeer vied for his friendship, so established him that he eventually became the foremost influence in the musical life of his generation. A performance of the St. Matthew Passion of Bach, which he conducted when but 19, opened his eyes to the wealth of Bach music which had lain neglected for half a century. Scandal. He dedicated himself to the task of dusting off the memory of Bach, forming a Bach society, supervising a complete edition of his works, putting a Bach number on his program whenever possible. Had he done nothing else, this service would ensure his fame, but he did much of his own account besides. He founded the first German Conservatory of Music in Leipzig. He conducted and taught all over the map of Europe. The Midsummer Night's Dream Overture, written at 17, the flowing violin concerto, which has borne many a virtuoso to fame upon its limpid rhythms, the Fingal's Cave Overture, Scottish and Italian symphonies, and much chamber music reveal him as a romantic steeped in classical tradition, an expressionistic conservative. They are the sincere, often inspired reflections of the personality of a completely charming and cultured gentleman. A happy marriage, every musical honor, the sympathetic companionship of his sister Fanny, hardly less gifted than he, filled his cup to overflowing. However, when he was 38, Fanny's death shocked him out of his paradise. Coming when he was overtired and run down, it proved too great a shock for the sensitive nature, injured only to happiness. A few months later, he too was laid to rest. Dang. Honestly, though, I'm kind of happy for him. Like, even though, like, the whole, like, you know, his sister died and then he was sad and also died, that's pretty grim. But, like, other than that, I didn't know his whole relationship with Bach. Not like Bach the person, but like Bach's music, obviously. And, yeah, I wonder if that, what's it called? That Bach Society is still around. I'm sure it is. But what an interesting thing. What an interesting thing. Oh, Jonah just texted me. Jonah, if you're listening to this, I see your text. Okay, anyway. But, yeah, what an interesting guy. Not poor. I will say this. They didn't mention anything about him being poor. And the past, like, 4 or 5 dudes that we've been reading, like, who do we have? We had Strauss, we had Schubert, we had Beethoven, and Mozart. Like, poor and unrecognized. Like, their stuff, I think, went unrecognized. And they had, like, problematic stuff in their life. I feel like Felix, he had a pretty good going until Fanny kicked the bucket. Which I hope that they put Fanny in here, although I doubt it, because it was the 30s. But we can hope. We love to hear about Fanny Mendelssohn and other female composers. So, alright guys, I think I'm going to cut it off here. I hope that you guys are doing well, and I hope you enjoyed this podcast. This, of course, is the Paper Soprano podcast, and I am Heidi Schneider. Do you ever get, like, spooked? Do you ever get, like, spooked saying your own name? What was that? Ew. I feel like I said it weird. Heidi Schneider. Heidi? Do I have an accent? I'm freaking out. I swear I'm not even drinking or doing anything crazy. I think it's because I haven't spoken to anyone today. I think that's really it. But you know what? That's what this podcast is for. It keeps me in check. Because if I didn't say this on the podcast, I would have said it in person to somebody else the next time I saw them. So, thanks. And what I was saying before was, hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you want to, you can subscribe. If you want to, I don't know why you would. But after that, you can subscribe, you can comment, you can tell me how insane I sound on this podcast and how, I don't know, something else that you want to say in a comment. You can like this video if you are so compelled. Just smash the dislike button, honestly, after that. Just go ahead. Go ahead, unsubscribe too. So, yeah. I hope you guys have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night, whenever you happen to be listening to this. And, go out and talk to somebody. Have a good old conversation. Have a chat. If you're listening and you've been doing a lot of listening today, that's great. But prioritize your social health. Because this pandemic has been killing us all in terms of socializing, and I worry. Mainly for myself. Alright, people. Thank you so much for listening. I love you, mean it. Okay, bye.